income is again multiplied by his dependents, or his the people he left in his lineage over the years. So this passive income has been able to make money for him, and people are enjoying, and we're seeing the wealth as it has been built on. And of course, having raised, I presume, good children who in turn did not get to that place of squandering. I know that probably in his lineage, he trained his children also to multiply wealth for themselves. Because one of the biggest problems in Uganda specifically is when we are doing it by ourselves, when we are not involving our children, we are not involving our relatives. Now, you know that we live in a community that is dependent on many things. So when we do building wealth, we have to talk about it with our family members, our friends, and our friends' friends. So that when we move on to glory, these things that we've impacted in these people we have left around, they go on increasing that. So in my conclusion, I think why our late brother still lives on his legacy is because he passed on the basics right.
Professor James Murwana. Now let's get back to the basics. Allow me to disagree with you at one point, because there are many people in this country that operate business on a family basis, but you never see their business. So what could be the contributing factors to why the business owners may be present, but their businesses are never successful?
I think, again, if I take you back to the basics right, why the businesses are never successful is when we don't get the basics right. Now, one of the basics in building wealth is what we call the wealth cycle. Now, the wealth cycle is when that cycle is operating for you. Now, that wealth cycle, in short, it includes income. It includes savings, it includes assets, and it includes cash flow. So most of us, in Uganda specifically, we concentrate on building the assets. Now, when we build the assets and we get to the crisis mode, when we get to that crisis mode, we begin selling off the assets. And we forget there's what they call a cash flow in that cycle. Now, that cash flow is the one that is supposed to be fueling your wealth. That's why it is called a wealth cycle. Now, if that cycle is not fueled properly, the expenses, which is the enemy of your cycle, will come and eat up all your wealth. And that is the thing we see today. You see them rich on paper in assets. The businesses are doing so well, but the minute, remember, they're also fueling their debt. Probably that business was built on debt and they have no cash flow. Now, like the crisis, the global pandemic right now in Uganda. So most of the people have eaten up all their savings. They have sold all their assets. And because they have not concentrated on building the passive income.
You seem to be suggesting that the success of maintaining a business entirely depends on the presence of the entrepreneur or the proprietor or the person who starts this business. Could that be so? Is it the basics? Or anyway, what are those right basics that we must be able to consider, Doctor?
Present, your emphasis has to be to build income. Active and passive. I'm going to try to define active income and passive income. Active income is when you need to be present in the business. You need to be actively involved. You need to be very present in the business. Now, passive income, you don't have to be there. Your money is making money for you. A practical example would be the commonly known for us as savings. When we get our wealth or when we get our income and you tuck away a little bit of the savings, you're expected to be getting an interest. Now, when you put those savings away, that interest that you earn is called a passive income. You're not working in that bank to be able to earn that passive income. But when you have a job, as long as you're employed in that job, they can only pay you for your man hours. So if you're not in that job, that means you're not going to be earning a salary. Now, during this season, not most people are earning a salary because the global pandemic, met and their businesses hit a snag. So they were told, you stay home until you know, we are back on our feet. And of course, this evening we are going to hear the president. But you don't have to be in your business to be making wealth.
Those without informal jobs cannot get to that place of actualization, like what Abraham Maslow actually calls it.
No, they can't. They can't. Absolutely not. It is all about starting small. Even the ones who are not informal jobs, it's this building a culture of savings. You know, in Uganda, we do not have a culture of savings. So we have to, every time you tell somebody, begin small, they will tell you, I have this little money that I'm going to spend on my family members and me. So they've not built a culture of tucking away and living within your means. So even the people who are in the informal structure, they can start a life and enjoy financial freedom at a later stage. So it's just culture, the mindset. You just need to change people's mindsets and for them to understand that your journey to wealth building begins with you talking about money, with you talking about it with your family members, with you having these candid conversations with your family. Then you can get your financial freedom.
You seem to be tabling a very important aspect of discussion. Personally, I am by training a counseling psychologist, and we have people in this country who basically when they go to university, they study A but end up doing B. So just in case I am a counseling psychologist by profession, so how do I get assurance that if I penetrated into businesses like the mining sector, I'm just using that as an example, how can I get assurance that I'll be able to do this business successfully?
Now, there is this statement, I don't know whether you've heard it. I don't know whether you've heard people say that your passion fuels your future. Now, I'll pose the same question back to you. You said you want to venture into mining, but do you love mining? Do you love mining? Or you want to venture into it because somebody told you there is money? My answer to you is you have to first rediscover yourself. What is your purpose? What are those things that you're called to, that you can be able to do? Even if they woke you up in the morning, you don't have, it's something that drives you. So is mining your passion, my brother? If it's not your passion, you may need to wait a little bit and discover your passion before you enter into it. Now, all of us, majority of us, when we go to university, we've ended up doing different things than we started. Because over the years, we discover that those are not the things we are called to. Of course, that is a discussion of another day, depending on the way our education system is structured. You see, by the time we get to university, you're busy rallying. What is the other neighbor's son doing? Then your parents will suggest, oh, you should do a degree, or you should do psychology, or you should do business, because business is the trend. But what are the things you're called for? All of us, God has wired us in a different way. What are those things you do with a passion and they venture into your hobby?
It's very interesting. I am personally what I am because of my late father, who died while he had left a number of things. Maybe call it legacy. The most fundamental question to you, Doctor, this afternoon is, how can I now be in position to pass on this kind of good things to my children and even the kind of generation? What are some of the basics that I should be able to do so that can be passed on to my children, so that even when I am away, the business will have to continue?
Now, one of the things is you need to involve, first of all, you need to talk about it. You need to get your children involved. You need to get your family involved. So money conversations are very important at an early stage. Yeah, we don't need to send the kids away when we are talking about money. We need to involve them in the discussion. Secondly, you need to involve the kids in what you're doing so that you discover whether that is what they like. Because you also need to have a discovery of their passions. They may not like psychology. They may like something else like blogging. And then you fuel that blogging. It may not be necessarily yours, but you help fuel that blogging. Maybe they are storytellers and they can use storytelling to earn money. Maybe they are gifted in a sport. Then you fuel that sport so that they are able to earn money in future. So having had those conversations, then you need to start fueling those conversations. If your child likes blogging, yeah, spend money into it and, teach them so that they are skillful in that area. Let them be skillful. So what are you doing? Are you educating yourself? Are you feeling yourself? Are you getting to that understanding of educating yourself diligently, investing in yourself? You need to acquire knowledge. You need to understand the basics. You need to teach your children about risk and reward. You need them to get to that place of understanding, leveraging your wealth and investing appropriately. Where can you put what? So if we don't have those conversations, probably that legacy may end up with you when you go down. But we do not want it to be that way. So when we have these conversations more often, when we get deliberate to discover what our children love, and then we fuel it, it will benchmark us even as we go, and then leverage our wealth as we've gone on.
And you seem to be suggesting if you're educated, some of this can come to reality if you're educated. So what about some of us who are never educated? Doesn't that mean that our children can never get to any place of comfort or a place of actualization?
Now, you see, education can be formal or informal. Now, a passion, you don't need to be educated to discover a child's passion. Now, the kid may be an orator, and an orator in Luganda, in a local language. So what are you going to do to fuel that gift? I'll give you a practical example of a lady I grew up seeing. She was a storyteller in songs called Nandu Ja, and I used to enjoy the way she would sing. Now, over the years, now, if you have a child who loves to dance and storytell in folk singing, you fuel that. Now, you don't need to go to a formal school to discover a child's gift. If they love to dance or sing, you will see them exhibit it at home. You will see them exhibit it at school. You will see them exhibit it anywhere they are. And you will recognize that that is a gift of the child. Now, they don't have to have gone to school.
You are a director of BMK Wealth, but you're also a senior member. To be exactly, you are a Rotary president and a director of BM Wealth. I was taught by one of my lecturers then at Chamogo University that there are three things that drive business. We used to call it the MAD principle. M means means, A means ability, and D means desire. There are people that have the means but do not have the desire. But there are also people that have the desire but do not have the means. And there are people also have the ability, but they lack either of the two. So what's your take on this in relation to, of course, wealth maintenance?
I think one key thing should be the desire to get out of your status right now. If somebody, if you have a person who has desire to get out of their cycle of poverty, you can work with that. In my Christian belief, we call it faith. When you have hope that things are going to get better, you can work with that hope, and that hope can turn around situations. Now, if you have somebody who's willing to walk with you the journey, you can help them get out of that area, of that segment they're in, and then you help them get it out. You help them get out. Secondly, the friends they hang around with. Now, if you're poverty-stricken and you hang around with the same poverty-stricken people, you will end up being the same person as they are. Why don't you improve yourself? Let's say if you're a saloon owner, and maybe one of your clients is a little bit better than you, why don't you, get attached to that client so that your thinking is changed? So it's all about a mindset. If we need to get out of poverty, we have to deliberately speak to ourselves and say, situation has to change. I must do something about it. You see, like this COVID season, if somebody has not changed out of this situation, they are never going to change. They are going to remain poor forever. But if you need to get out of this situation of a poverty cycle, you need to be deliberate. So the desire is very important.
country like His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is. He will be speaking to us this evening. In a situation like this, what kind of message would you have for Ugandans that have gone through a period of 42 days staying home, spending money, but they are not earning on a daily basis?
I think I did get what you said at the beginning, but if I demystify what you have just said, what conclusive remarks do you have? I think one of the biggest thing is to emphasize that this time is never going to come back. There's what we call the law of time. What are you doing with your time right now? What are you doing with your time? Personally, I also run an international school, and we've not been running the school. Now, imagine if your teacher stayed idle. Now, the schools may not open even this evening as the president maybe lifts or extends the lockdown. What are you going to do? Are you going to wallow in that situation? You need to rethink what are the things that you can do. Maybe you can do a small business. Maybe you can do agriculture. You know, Uganda, we are filled with so many ideas that you can do, because the time is never going to come back. This time of 2021, 2020 is never going to come back. But are you a kind of person who's going to wallow in regret? Or you're going to be a kind of person who's going to step up your game and do something about it? Do something about it by getting to work. Getting to work, you can be working. Maybe you have a backdoor garden and you sell vegetables. In India, they used to call them the sabjis. Maybe that is something you can do to earn an income. The principle here is what brings money on your table. What can bring money on your table?
You mentioned something very fundamental called an idea. You see, I like what Dr. Miles Munro says about poverty. He says the classical definition of madness is not poverty, but someone living a life without an idea. What would be your final idea to Ugandans in relation to wealth maintenance?
Ugandans should get out of that dependency syndrome and get to work. Get to work. Get up and get to work. God has given us wisdom. God has given us understanding. God has given us ideas. There is no idea that is too stupid in making wealth. All ideas are very important. So once fueled and worked upon, they can get you out of that poverty cycle.
Thank you so much. That has been the director, BM Wealth, and she's also the president of the Rotary She's the president of the Rotary Club. One of the things she has said, and of course, this afternoon is about. Doctor, I must say thank you so much for allowing to speak to us this afternoon.
Thank you, but I need to correct you there. I'm not a president of the Rotary Club.
May God bless you and thank you for speaking to us this afternoon. One of the fundamental things Doctor has asserted this afternoon that it is important to have an idea. I like what Henry Tugo says. He says that there's nothing good just like an idea, but of course, which idea has come at the right timing. And I hope this discussion has not only just transformed your understanding, but it also transformed you 360 degrees. Wetewe tambule basabone banyabo enchaunako olwayo nako olwokutaano tunulide ensonga oyinza kukola otya ssente n'obeeranga of course tulina abasajja nga ba Professor James Mulwana batandika business ne bava of course mu ggwanga erya Uganda ne tubaziika ne bava mu bulamu bwe tulabako naye ate business ze batandika ne twogera kati zikyaliwo abazikulira oba zikubiriza of course be baana be yaleka mu bulamu buno obwensi. So tubadde tukuba torch oyinza kukola otya ebyobugagga oyinza kukulaakulana otya nti neoba ovudde mu bulamu buno obwensi ebintu byo bisigala bitambula. Covid of course acclaiming obulamu bungi naye ekibuzo kye twebuuza nti abantu abavudde mu bulamu buno obwensi abantu bebalese emabega banasobola okubanga baddukanya business ezo ez'enjawulo kyekibuzo ekibadde mu ddiiro of course encha y'olunaku olwaleero naye bwe tutambule program Uganda tukole Monday to Friday okuviira ddala essaawa 5 paka ssaawa 10 ez'olweggulo. Of course tunula ensonga enkulu ezigenda ddala maaso mu ggwanga lwa Uganda. My excitement, my smile, of course the reason why I'm dressed the way I am, the reason why I choose to stand not to sit, the reason why sometimes like in the afternoon I'll choose to sit and not stand is that the President of the Republic of Uganda agenda kuba ayogerako erinze naawe leero essaawa 2 ez'akawungeezi era tujja kuba of course tumukuleetera ya butereevu ng'ayogera of course ku nsonga y'okulwanyisa ekirwadde ekya covid-19. bwe ziwera ssaawa 7 tubeera nno mu program kiiki otunda bwe tubawa omwaganyo okutuulira biki bye mukola. Otunda ngoye, otunda ngatto, otundira mu bitundu ki. Ky'oyinza okukola wala ennamba egenda okubanga eri ku screen eyo gikube bona babajja gikwata ogambe nti nze naka business kange akatono kayika $5,000 naye njagala kulanga nammwe beetaaga ssente mmeka nsanga mu bitundu ebyawa era bwe mba mbeetaaga mbasanga tuli ku plot 5 commercial road wano mu bitundu ebyenaggulu ky'osobola okutusanga physical. But also osobola okugenda ku Facebook page yaffe Smart 24 TV ne ku Twitter era kyekimu ne ku YouTube kwe tuli streaming live. Teekako obubaka bwo tubulye eki ky'otunda. Osobola n'okukola ekifaananyi kyo n'okuba video sindika ku namba z'essimu ezo of course ku WhatsApp. Osobola n'okuteekako message tujja kubanga tusoma obubaka obwo. Up next egenda kuba program ki ky'otunda n'abakulu ab'enjawulo kuba mitundu ebyenjawulo batula biki bye batunda lwaki basalawo okutunda bye business mu biseera bino etambula etya president wanaatuggula byo ebintu binaabanga bitambula bitya. Nja kubanga nkomawo.
Smart 24, driving business.